I followed the ship as it sailed away. "We're off, bye." My mother-in-law laughed out loud. Beside her, my husband was laughing as if mocking me. I forced myself to smile and waved so I won't lose to them. Though there was sadness, I was planning my revenge on those two. As I watched the ship set sail, I received a call from my mother-in-law. "Sienna, I'm so sorry. I decided to go in your place. It seems Kyra prefers going with me rather than going with you. Thank you for paying for our trip." Behind my mother-in-law, my husband is probably there. I can hear his laughter. "No problem. I actually want to thank you instead." "What?" "Just keep laughing while you can." After graduating from college, I joined a travel agency, but I wasn't sure if I could work with customers well since I was very shy and had poor communication skills. Honestly, I was worried. However, I've been enjoying working here because I had always liked going to new places and discovering new things. I had enjoyed traveling alone, and the senior staff at my workplace are kind and easy to get along with. By recommending travel, I find new discoveries, and being able to make customers happy is the biggest motivation. Work was going well, but I was still single even after turning 25. So my colleague who was concerned about me said, "Sienna, there's this nice guy I want you to meet. You're at an age where it's not strange to have someone to date." Knowing myself well, I wasn't feeling for it, but I couldn't say no to my colleague who was doing me a favor for my sake. I was just going to meet him and walk away. That's when I met my husband, Kyra. When we first met, I was so nervous that I could not even look at Kyra's face, and I could only reply in a hoarse voice. Despite me being like that, Kyra said, "I'd like to meet you again." After that, we started dating with marriage in mind. "I've never met a woman as pure and honest as you. I feel as if my heart is being cleansed. I'd be so happy if you could be with me forever." I'm sure it was partly because I had never been in a relationship before, and I was naive, but I was falling for Kyra, who said such nice things to me when I lacked self-confidence. Kyra was kind, and he always took care of me when we were on a date. He was a true gentleman. No one but Kyra could love someone like me. I couldn't think of anyone else but Kyra. We got married after dating for only 3 months, and now a year has passed. Though Kyra was very kind while we were dating, he has been very selfish and full of himself after we got married, and he doesn't do any housework. Kyra works for a famous local company, and he leaves for work at 7 a.m., returning home around 9 p.m., sometimes even close to midnight. I still work at the travel company, but I get off work at 5 p.m. every day, and it's nothing compared to the amount of work Kyra has to do. Even though we rarely spend time together after we got married, I knew I had to support Kyra now that I was his wife. I loved Kyra, who worked hard, and I never once felt upset about him not doing housework. Naturally, household chores became my responsibility. "Hey, is dinner ready yet?" "Sorry, I had to stay a little bit longer at work today, and I've just got home. Sorry, it will be ready soon." "I've just come back after working till I was exhausted, and dinner is not ready yet?" This never happened when I lived with my mom, you know. When I came home, dinner was always ready. He is doing that again. Kyra constantly compares me to his mother. I know that I have many shortcomings, but I don't feel very good about being compared to my mother-in-law. His father had already passed away, so Kyra is concerned about his mother who lives alone and seems to visit her frequently. He never talked about his mother while we were dating, so I never knew that Kyra relied on her so much. I've been deceived, I sometimes think. What's more troublesome is that his mother shows up unannounced. Whether she is doing that on purpose to annoy me or not. She comes over in the morning when I am really busy, a few times a week, Usually she shows up right when I finish putting on makeup and I'm about to leave the house. Good morning, Sienna. Oh, have you already finished cleaning? I'm going to work now, so I'll clean when I get back. It's always work, work, work. What do you think your duty is as a housewife? Are you going to neglect your housework and then go to work? I'm sorry, but I really don't have the time, I will say, and I forcibly push my mother-in-law out of the house, then run as fast as I can to the station. I think it's insane for someone to come over a little after 7 in the morning, even if she is my mother-in-law. On top of that, she comes over just to complain, so it's really hard to bear. No matter how I think about it, I could only think that she was trying to harass me. Then one day, I fell ill. My fever was high and it wouldn't come down, so I had to take 3 days off and I was resting in my bed. Fortunately, my boss was understanding and said, "Take your time to rest and get better soon." So I was grateful for his kindness. I truly appreciate the warm atmosphere at my workplace. Since the people I work with are all so great, I want to keep working there for a long time. So I don't want to quit my job just because of my mother-in-law's harassment. This time I had a bad cough and I had no appetite, so I felt weak. And yet, aren't you a housewife? How can you not do housework just because you have a little cold? Get a grip. If you can't handle household chores properly, then quit your job. Don't you feel sorry for Kyra? For some reason, even my mother-in-law was at my place and they blamed me and then criticized me. Mom is right. If you can't handle household chores properly and you also fall sick like this, then quit your job. It's not like you're making money much anyway. And have children soon and stay home. All you do is work. That's why this happened and you can't even have children. Pathetic. While my consciousness was hazy due to the fever, all I could do was apologize. I'm sorry. Why do they have to be so mean to me when I'm sick and having a hard time? Have I done something so wrong? What is it that they are so dissatisfied with? A few days later, even after my fever came down, my mother-in-law continued with her snide remarks. Why don't you just quit your job already? You can't even take care of Kyra, can't you? I feel so bad for my son. I'm sorry. I really don't want to quit my job. Because you're always focused on work, you haven't been able to get pregnant, you know? Are you aware of that? I wonder when I'll be able to hold a grandchild. I do want children too, but I don't think it's because of work that I can't have children. Stop making excuses. If you insist on not quitting, shall I call your workplace and then tell them that I'm making you quit your job because you are not fulfilling your role as a daughter-in-law? But please don't do that. I'll work harder, I promise. I love my job. Please let me continue working. I'd rather work harder at the demanding household chore than quit a job I love. To continue working, I tried so hard to do both housework and work. However, working hard doesn't guarantee that you can easily conceive a child. I had my own concern about that. I understand that my mother-in-law, who is looking forward to having grandchildren, would make snide remarks and even want to blame me. Both Kyra and I want children as well, but we had been struggling to conceive. Eventually, Kyra told me, "You should get fertility treatment." And I started going to the hospital. However, after undergoing tests at the hospital, it turned out that I didn't have any particular issues. I'd like your husband to come for a consultation as well. Let's do a test for him too. The doctor said, I told Kyra, I want you to take the test. But he said, why do I have to take such a test? Do I have a problem? You are making it sound like I'm the reason why we can't have a child. I'm not saying that, but I want a baby soon. If I get pregnant, perhaps my mother-in-law and Cairo would feel at ease. More than anything, I also wanted children, so I asked. But Cairo said, "There is nothing wrong with me," and refused to undergo any testing. I was blamed by mother-in-law. Cairo wasn't being cooperative. I felt guilty about not being able to have children. And I started to think that perhaps divorcing from Cairo would make everyone happier. But Cairo is the only one who would love someone like me. I kept worrying alone. One day, Cairo proposed that we go on a trip. If you are busy with work and household chores every day like this, you must be feeling suffocated. And with that, we can't have children, can we? Why don't we go on a trip or something? I was ecstatic beyond words. Really? Come to think of it, we didn't even go on a honeymoon trip. I'm so happy. Planning trips is something I excel at the most. I worked very hard to make the plan for the trip as a part of my work as well, and I came up with a plan that both of us could enjoy. What about a cruise trip? It's a 10-day luxury cruise, and I thought it's a good way to relax. It's scheduled to depart in 3 months. What do you think? I showed Cairo the brochure and the plan. Even an economy room costs about $2,000 per night, and it's an expensive trip. I figured we could splurge a little, if I thought it would also serve as a honeymoon. Furthermore, with this plan, it seemed like I could use a company discount, so I immediately checked. And it appears that we could stay in a $2,000 room for $1,500. I told Cairo about this as well. Really? That's great. If we save on the rooms, we can splurge on exquisite meals. I really like this travel plan. From then on, I was filled with excitement and my heart felt light every day. Perhaps due to this, my mother-in-law's snide comments didn't bother me as much as before. I only thought about the cruise trip, and I was able to manage both work and household chores. About a month before departure, my mother-in-law slipped, fell down the stairs, and injured herself while cleaning the house. So Cairo and I decided to visit her in the hospital. It hurts. I can't even do the household chores. That's true, but I'm glad you got away with just injured. Still, it's a problem. You can't even go shopping. Let alone do any housework, can you? Why don't you stay at our place for a while? What? Why all of a sudden? Why did he decide on his own without discussing with me? I'll take care of your belongings. I'll come to pick you up tomorrow. Certainly, I was worried about my injured mother-in-law. However, I was dumbfounded by Cairo's sudden and unilateral decision. We have our own daily rhythms, and more than anything, I was worried that she would torment me. Even her surprise morning visits every few days was already too much for me. And now she would be watching me 24/7 if we lived together. Having such thought, I wasn't really thrilled about it, to be honest. However, the next day my mother-in-law came to our house. You are off to work without even cleaning again? Seeing that you bought this much frozen food, you can't cook anything decent, can you? You can't even manage a single household chore, seriously. As expected, she criticized me endlessly, and my stomach twisted in pain. What's more, the reason you can't have children is because you are always working. I've told you to quit your job countless times. If you can't even listen to me, then please divorce Cairo. My mother-in-law said something mean to me whenever she saw me. I couldn't say anything in return, and I just took it in silently. How long would this kind of life continue? Thinking like that, I couldn't sleep at night, and I kept wondering if I could stay sane until we leave for the trip. Struggling to fall asleep, I decided to go to the bathroom once more. And then, the light turned on in Cairo's room. I checked the time on my phone, which I had in my pocket, and it was already past midnight. Why is he still awake at this hour? It's quite unusual. Is it because of some work he had to take home? As I was thinking about it, I heard voices coming from his room. Feeling nervous, I peered into his room through the crack of the door, only to find my mother-in-law in her pajamas. What? Why is she here? I decided to listen to their conversation for a while. What I heard was something unbelievably horrifying. Feeling as if I had been struck by lightning, I quickly left there and rushed to my own room. I couldn't wrap my head around the unexpected situation. What on earth is happening? I didn't sleep a wink that day. Then came the day of the trip. I had been living with mixed emotions since that day. For some reason, my mother-in-law came to see us off. Just how much does she love her son? Cairo seemed somewhat happy too. Mom, thanks for coming to see us off, despite the pain in your leg. It's fine, but maybe because I pushed myself too hard, I'm feeling a little bit sick. It's absurd that she came to see us off on her own accord, yet she is saying that she's not feeling well. She shouldn't have come if her leg was in pain in the first place. That's not good because we have to leave soon. You shouldn't have pushed too hard, Mom. What symptoms are you experiencing now? I'm feeling a little queasy. Cairo looked worried about his mother. Just how much of a mama's boy is he? Oh, there should be a convenience store nearby. Could you go get some water, Sienna? Yeah, sure. I pretended to go to a nearby convenience store to get water, and I watched them from behind a building instead. My mother-in-law, who had been limping, easily stood up and boarded the cruise ship with Cairo, leaving my belongings behind. I knew it. I followed the ship as it sailed away. We are off, bye! My mother-in-law laughed out loud. Beside her, my husband was laughing as if mocking me. I forced myself to smile and wave so I won't lose to them. Though there was sadness, I was planning my revenge on those two. As I watched the ship set sail, I received a call from my mother-in-law. Sienna, I'm so sorry. I decided to go in your place. It seems Cairo prefers going with me rather than going with you. Thank you for paying for the trip. Behind my mother-in-law, my husband is probably there. I can hear his laughter. No problem, I actually want to thank you instead. What? I already knew that you and Cairo were planning to go on the trip without me. Wait, what are you talking about? I sensed their panic over the phone. I overheard you that day. Actually, Cairo and my mother-in-law were planning to go on a trip, leaving me behind. Cairo, of course, you'll put me on the luxury cruise ship, right? Of course, I can't live without you, Mom. You are more important than Sienna. Hearing those words, I felt a shiver and I became almost nauseous. My mother-in-law loves her son, and my husband loves his mother so much that they are inseparable. They are like lovers, and just watching them made me sick. I heard you guys talking that you are inseparable, as if you guys were lovers. A flustered Cairo took the phone from my mother-in-law. Sienna, it's a misunderstanding. I recorded the conversation when you and your mother were talking in your room the other night. Are you still going to say that it was a misunderstanding? You married me so that you could have children, just like your mother wanted, right? Once a child is born, you were going to treat me as a housekeeper, weren't you? Even if your mother wanted a child, you and she can't have a child together, right? Well, that's... Cairo was trying to make excuses, but I ignored him. Can you put the phone on speaker? You lied about your leg, didn't you, Susan? You didn't enjoy your leg, did you? It's disgusting that you even lied to me and barged into your son's house. She seemed taken aback when I, who had been always timid and only said I'm sorry, accused her. A daughter-in-law who can't have children is like trash. Besides, since you can't take care of Cairo, I have to be with him. I just love my son so much. She seemed to have become defiant. But at this point, I was just astonished and speechless. Please do as you two like. I'll prepare the divorce papers. Hey, don't do anything without discussing with me. Don't disgrace my name. How can you be so selfish? Completely frustrated, I hung up the phone. I felt ashamed of myself for marrying such a man, even though I never dated anybody else and I was naive. After that, I quickly returned home and started packing my belongings. The cruise was for 10 days, so there's plenty of time to move out. I signed a contract for an apartment I had had my eyes on, and I completed the move. In the meantime, you upgraded our room to suite room, didn't you? They gave us 3 drinks and they also let us use the spa. My mom and I are enjoying it. I'm divorcing you after this. Thank you for giving me an expensive trip like this as a goodbye gift. I received a cheerful message like that, but I ignore it. They should enjoy it when they can. When they returned from the trip 10 days later, I'm so happy that I was able to get rid of a useless daughter-in-law. I received a message from my mother-in-law. However, Cairo called me so many times 10 days after that. I think he called me around 60 times. I ignored all the calls during the day, but when I finished work and picked up the phone, I could tell from his voice that Cairo was furious. Hey, what's going on? There are charges for the trip on my credit card and it's $50,000. That's outrageous. Wasn't the employee discount applied? Actually, after overhearing their conversation, I utilized my workplace privileges to change the reservation to a deluxe suite that only special members could stay in. Furthermore, I canceled the reservation and rebooked without the company discount with Cairo's credit card, so everything will be charged on his credit card. You and I are complete strangers now. You're not even a family member, so of course you can't use the employee discount. By the way, I've arranged to sell the house next week, so you better move out as soon as possible. What? What the heck are you doing? I'm going to sue you. Sure, go ahead. But don't forget that I recorded that conversation between you and your mother that night. And it's only natural that you can't use your ex-wife's employee discount. I canceled the original reservation and made a new one, so it's not fraudulent. In fact, what you two did is fraudulent. Upon hearing that, my mother-in-law started panicking too. But wait a minute, Sienna, where are we supposed to live from now on? And what about the payment for the trip? How would I, a stranger, know such a thing? Why don't you find a convenient woman who is a housewife and will bear a child and borrow some money? I have nothing to do with you two anymore, so please never contact me again. Wait, Sienna. Cairo was shouting something, but I hung up the phone and blocked him. Having been betrayed by Cairo, whom I had loved so much, I had spent a hellish month, but I was finally liberated. Now I can finally eat and sleep. After that, as for the mother and her son, they lost their home as well, and it seems they stayed at a business hotel for a while. However, with no significant savings, they couldn't find a place that satisfied them, and they moved into an old apartment. Living in a cramped apartment, my ex-mother-in-law became even more attached to her son. And I heard that Cairo was fed up with his mother who clings to him every day. However, it seemed that they can't change the way they live until they finish paying the $50,000 loan for the trip. I don't know what happened after that. Perhaps even now, they are living together, all clingy. It's so disgusting that I don't even want to think about it. As for me, I'm still working at the travel company I love. Since I don't have to worry about household chores, husband, or mother-in-law, I'm very satisfied with an environment where I can fully enjoy my work. I've learned my lesson from love and marriage, so I'm going to work as hard as I can for customers for a while.